Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shanley Show. Yesterday was a rainy day. I was really happy about that. I decided that it would be a good day to start a reading vlog, although the only stuff that I recorded was the rain. Here we are though. Let's talk about some of the books I'm going to be reading in this vlog. Now, as you can tell from the title of this video, I am going to have this reading vlog be a little bit longer and go over a bit more time than my normal reading vlogs, which I usually keep at about a week. But with this reading vlog and with it being my first one of 2024, I just decided let's let it go into the beginning of February. Here are the books that I'm currently reading for this reading vlog. First up, the physical book that I'm reading is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a reread for me, and it's the start of my Middle-earth rereads for the year, because that is something that I'm trying to do more regularly, where I read The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings once a year. And I've been pretty consistent with that for the past couple of years, so I'm getting started ahead of time with my reread of The Hobbit, and then once I'm done with this, I'm going to move on to The Lord of the Rings. So this is my physical book that I'm reading. And then the ebook that I'm reading and that I'm borrowing through the Libby app is The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. And I don't know a whole lot about this. It's interesting so far. It's a thriller, so let's see if I'll like this book, because the couple of times that I've tried to read thrillers over the past couple of years, they've been kind of a miss for me. And then I am listening to Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James, also borrowing it through Libby. And this is a fantasy book that is steeped in African mythology and takes a lot of inspiration from African mythology and folklore, and that just sounds appealing. Again, I don't really know a whole lot about it, so I'm just going into it open-minded. Another book that so far I'm liking, and it's interesting so far, so we're just going with the flow. Something else I'm doing for January is the January Pages Challenge. This is through the Storygraph app, and you can see the other, wherever I'm having it up on the screen, probably around here, and you can see the other challenges that I'm doing through the Storygraph, and not just the yearly reading challenge of 100 books. And that is something that I really like about Storygraph, is that it's not just the singular reading challenge, and you get the opportunity to diversify your reading a little bit, both with BIPOC authors and BIPOC stories, and also with branching out into different genres or different book types. I am planning to make a video as to why I prefer Storygraph over Goodreads, which hopefully will be coming out in the next couple of weeks after this video. But within this video specifically, I am going to be focusing a lot on my reading. I might insert a couple of crochet clips here and there, because I want to try to get through a crochet project I'm working on, and I'm hoping to get it done by March, within March. That will also most likely be included, and I'll see you all in my next update. update time. I finished The Hobbit. As usual, it was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I'm gonna wait until February actually starts before I pick up The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm also starting another physical book just so I can kind of have at least 3 different books on my currently reading pile at the same time, even though that might not be smart. But at the very least, there are 3 different formats, so I'm not worried about getting into a reading slump because of that. The book that I'm starting today is The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I do not think I'm saying her last name correctly, so if you know, please let me know in the comments. I want to say that I'm looking forward to this and that I'm really looking forward to this because that's the gut instinct thing to say for me, but at the same time I am kind of hesitant because it was a very hyped up book in 2023, so I'm really trying to keep my expectations kind of mid at least, because I don't want to have low expectations for this book, but at the same time I don't want to have high expectations for it. So we're staying at that middle expectations tier. I will let you know how this goes. I will also be going to Barnes & Noble tomorrow with a friend of mine, and I will include the haul from Barnes & Noble in this video. And I think the book of the month book choices for February should be coming up in the next couple of days, so I will include a screen recording of my selection for that and any add-ons I get. And depending on when I decide to finish this vlog in relation to when the book of the month box gets here, I may or may not include an unboxing video for that. I want to, but it really depends on when I decide I'm ready to wrap up this video and when the box gets here. So we'll see, and we'll go with the flow. So I had a bit of a blonde moment. I didn't actually record anything at Barnes & Noble. I did one TikTok, but I forgot to record anything for this vlog. I didn't get a whole lot this time around, which a little bit surprising, but at the same time a little bit not. I got volume 5 of The Remarried Empress, and I'm actually really looking forward to volume 5 because this is where things are finally falling into place for the plot. So I'm really looking forward to it. And then I also got volume 5 of Fruits Baskets. I think I've mentioned this in previous previous reading vlogs or book hauls, but with Inuyasha and with The Remarried Empress, I'm really trying not to get too far ahead in buying specific volumes when I haven't caught up with the ones I physically have. But with Fruits Basket, it's an exception because I've already read all of the manga already years ago, so I'm just collecting it, and then once I have all of the volumes, I will do a major read through of Fruits Basket, see what I remember, see what I like now versus what I liked back then. That's the plan. And I love how A is on the back of this cover. Ayame was my favorite character, one of my favorite characters in this. So him and Hatsuharu on this cover was absolutely perfect. And then last but not least, I got The Last Russian Doll by Kristen Loesch. I had seen this one quite a bit on Book of the Month, but I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to get it. And since quite a few of the hardcovers were 50% off at Barnes & Noble, I was like, you know what the heck, we'll get it. I'll use my Book of the Month credits on something else. So I got this one, and this is a historical fiction set in 1917 in Russia, so during the 1917 Russian Revolution. So I'm really looking forward to this one. So in these next couple of clips, I am taking off some of the books from a couple of my bookshelves, partly to make more space and also partly just unhaul some of the books that I'm not planning to read or that I'm not planning to pick back up again. It was really a matter of how long has it been since I bought these books and left them unread on my shelves, and do I really actually plan to read them? And then for the books that I have read, did I enjoy them enough to want to keep them on my shelves for even longer? So that was the thought process behind these, and I am listing these books on Mercari and Pango Books. It was only 5 books in total, so not a whole lot, but it still freed up quite a bit of space for any future books that I want to get and have hopes to get. Okay, it's time for another reading update. I don't really have much of an update for the adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, but for the time being, I've decided to DNF The Whispers, this book right here. And as you saw in my little screen recording for Libby in the story graph, showing me returning the ebook and then explaining why I DNF'd it, but I wanted to give a little bit of a verbal explanation as well. I feel like the premise was interesting, it is interesting, but it wasn't interesting enough for me currently. And with it being that I'm reading 3 books, I do kind of need something that keeps my attention and keeps me intrigued. I do want to try returning to it at a later date, maybe as an audiobook, because for the past couple of months, ebooks haven't really been working for me, but audiobooks have. So maybe in a little bit, in a couple of months, I'll return to it as an audiobook and give it another shot. But that's the reading update. I'll see you in my next one, or whatever clip is after this one. We'll just see. We're going with the flow today. Okay, time for another reading update. I finished Black Leopard Red Wolf and I really enjoyed it. It was such a beautifully told story. All of the characters were so interesting and it was really like nothing I had ever truly read before, which is always a nice feeling to have when you're going into a book. I definitely think it was a smart decision for me at least to read it as an audiobook, because I would listen to the audiobook as I was getting ready in the morning and getting ready for work and doing some other stuff. So it really helped me kind of just listen to it and enjoy the story as I was doing other stuff. So I got 2 packages in the mail yesterday, 2 books in the mail yesterday, both of which I'm really happy with, and I'm really excited to finally dive into them. The first one is the first volume in manga, specifically the Apothecary Diaries. So I'm really looking forward to this because this seems like it will be right up my alley. I have been really looking into starting new anime and new manga that I haven't watched already and love already. This is getting an anime adaptation, but I wanted to read at least some of the manga before I actually watched the anime. And I got this through Amazon because every time I checked at Barnes & Noble, they only had like volumes 2 and later. So next time I'm at Barnes & Noble, I'll pick up volume 2 and then maybe volume 3 as well. And then the second book that I got was The Disappearance of Astrid Bricard by Natasha Lester. This was a pre-order and I absolutely am so excited for this book. I've been waiting for it since like last year, and I just know that this is going to be a fantastic book, especially with how The Three Lives of Alex St. Pierre went. I love this hardcover and I love the blues of the hardcover, but I also really hope that they come out with a paperback edition for Astrid as well, because I want my full paperback collection of Natasha Lester books. And while yes, this is my second hardcover, because this is the second hardcover she's had in the US, I still want the paperbacks, so I'm still gonna hold on to this and hopefully we'll get news soon of a paperback edition. So as you just saw, I made my book of the month selection and I had already chosen the 2 add-ons that I was doing. I know last time I said, or in one of the other videos where I talked about this, I said that I was gonna do like a little quote-unquote tutorial about how to save up the credits. I have the 2 credit per month plan for book of the month, and sometimes some months I will only use one of the credits and then the second credit will carry over. But it's really simple in the sense that you just have to do the 2 credit per month plan if you can afford that, and then use only 1 credit and then use the other credit later. I just don't know how long the second credit will carry over, just because I usually don't let it go past a month. And I was really surprised by the number of historical fiction options they had. I think there were like 2 historical fiction options and then a historical fantasy, which was the one I went with. So I'm really looking forward to my box because I'm gonna get 3 books, one of which I had never heard about before, but I'm really looking forward to. And then the other 2 I haven't heard a lot about them, but I've seen the titles around and sort of know what to expect from those 2 books, so fingers crossed I do like them. I'm thinking about ending this video soon, but not quite yet, just because I do want to talk a little bit more about books. I've started listening to Dark Corners by Megan Golden on the Libby app, and I'm taking this one slowly just because there were some topics that, when I checked out on Storygraph at least, it gave me a little alert saying that there were some topics in this book that I didn't want to read about or that I wanted to try to avoid in books, because that's the nice thing about Storygraph, where you can input topics that you don't really want to read about, and then like it lets you know if a book you're looking up has those topics. Like, it's a little alert sign. But I have heard Dark Corners be compared to Criminal Minds, so I'm just taking this slowly, listening to a little bit at a time. I'm not that far into it, but so far it seems interesting, and maybe this will be the incentive incentive to watch the last season of Criminal Minds because I haven't watched that yet. So Dark Corners, Megan Golden, so far interesting. Again, I'm not that far to have like a solid enough opinion about it. The thing is I had also seen it in Book of the Month as one of the selections you can get. I forgot which month it was specifically. I kept adding it as one of the add-ons to my box and then removing it because I couldn't fully make up my mind, because I was interested but at the same time I wasn't sure, because again, mystery and thrillers are not my typical genre for books. So I just thought for the time being I'm not going to get it from Book of the Month and I'll just listen to it on Libby. So that's how we're doing this.